Today on Dirt Road Cred, we're excited to show off the new wheel and tire setup for our 2025 Jeep Gladiator Juice, and also, while we've got them in the shop, play around with them a little bit and see if 37s will fit on a stock dark sky Gladiator. Well guys, we're here back in the shop, and a lot of folks have been asking us what the heck happened to the Juice Gladiator. We haven't seen it on content in a little bit of time now, and the reason being is we are working on quite a bit of things off camera. So we got back from Tennessee, and perhaps the biggest point of going to Tennessee, not only to meet all of you guys, to talk to all of our friends, but it's also to meet new vendors and perhaps make brand new connections. With the Juice Gladiator, this is the first Gladiator we're building on the channel, so we really wanted to get a lot of input and made sure we had all of our ducks, no pun intended, in a row when we build this Jeep. We met a really awesome guy by the name of Sean, and he is a media director over at Fuel Wheels. Now, a really cool conversation was started. He's followed our channel for quite some time, and we really connected and just had a lot of the same values and ideas. Now, he went on to say, look, I know you guys run Black Rhino, you run KMC, which are all in the same family, but I'm the fuel marketing manager, so I'm curious if you guys would be up for running a set of fuel wheels on your Jeep. We had to take some time to think about what we wanted to go with, and then ultimately, we had to place an order to get all these to come in. Typically on this channel, what we'll do is we'll do a lift kit first. We'll do the Amazon mods, the first 10 mods, kind of get it ready for daily driving. Then we will do the lift kit in order to fit the wheels and tires. Now in this case, we got the wheels and tires first, and we're gonna play around with them a little bit today while we have the Jeep in stock configuration, because we've done that before. You guys have liked the videos on the channel where we try and run 37s on an Extreme Recon, running 35s, running different tire sizes, and we're honestly just really curious if these will even fit on a stock Sport S Gladiator. Now right off the bat, a lot of folks are gonna be wondering, why did we choose bronze wheels? Initially, Ryan's thought on this was to do pink as an accent, and I had to walk him back off of that. No, I'm just kidding. Juice is a very bright, vibrant color. It's hard to find an accent that goes well with it and doesn't make it look like every other just black and bright colored Jeep. We were playing around with some ideas with Brian at Distinction Applied, and he has actually done the paint match for the Fuel bronze wheels. He has a specific color code, they fine-tuned it, and he does accent pieces in this color. We held a lot up to the Jeep and figured out that that was a very good accent for this, and I think it's gonna look fantastic. Now let's get into the wheels and tires that we have sitting here. Sean from Fuel, he wanted to provide these wheels at no charge to us. I thought that was an extremely gracious offer. On top of that, he wanted to send a set of their brand new Avix Trail Tech RT tires. These are in a 37 by 12.5 R17, and they're actually a load range E, so they have quite a bit of load carrying capacity. We said, you know what, they look like a pretty neat tire. If we love them, we'll run them for a while. If we hate them, we're gonna let our audience know. But I thought it was a pretty cool ability to kind of keep it within the same family and have them sent over to us. Now the wheel that we chose is a Fuel Fortress wheel in the bronze finish, and it's got a gloss black ring around the edge. You can also see the two-tone Fuel logo in the center. It's bronze in there and then black around the side of it. The offset is going to be a -12 offset, so it is more aggressive than stock, but not quite as aggressive as such a thing like a 3.5-inch backspace beadlock. I think with the lift kit that we have decided on, these will fit very nice, and with an RT tire, not only will these sidewalls help while off-road, but I do think it will be a little bit more tame when we're on the highway and traveling back and forth to shows, events, and just daily driving. Now, a lot of exciting features about this wheel. They balanced out really well locally here with a road force balancing machine. We did get a set of 5, so we're gonna play around with some ideas on where to mount the spare, but in reality, we wanted to really see how that bronze looks with this juice color. All right, so we're gonna zip these off. The dark sky comes with standard fenders on it. It's not the Rubicon fender flares. What I just said to Ryan off camera is that we were able to squeeze a set of 35s on the factory Sport Wrangler on our 41 build, and there was no problem, so why not on this one? But look at these beautiful dark sky wheels with nice Bridgestone, absolute street mobiles. 22 mil socket for these, and then we did have to get some spline sockets for the new wheels because they don't accept these factory ones. They're pretty much useless. Besides, if you have factory wheels, then they're perfect for you, but they're so wide. All right, you're gonna see them side by side. There they are. A little bit wider too, Ryan, if you look from the top here. A little bit taller. A little bit. I think they'll fit on. I don't know. Moment of truth. Moment of truth is like not fitting them on like this, but fitting them on and then actually being able to like turn. That's kind of the hard part. So we went with 37 based on the final ride height. We went out to America's Most Wanted, saw a ton of Gladiators with 37s, and it really just seemed to be like the perfect fit for these. We could have went with the 35, but honestly, like I said, I think just a 37 was the perfect way to go. Let's see if we can get these tightened up here. I mean, it fits. If you had Rubicon flares, they'd be up about another 1.5 inches. Yeah, you go over a bump with this or pretty decent, it'll rip this fender off, or at least rub the crap out of it. Turning, you're gonna hit this instantly. You turn, you're gonna hit that. Probably back here even, maybe. So will 37s fit? Kinda. I think if you had a Rubicon, yeah. But I think we need to throw, maybe we'll just throw one. You wanna throw just one on this back one and see what the whole side shot looks like? Yeah. I don't think we need to put all 4 on now, because we're not gonna be rolling around with this. The wheels look good though. It's hard to get a good look without that. It's hard to get the appropriate look without the right tire gap. You know, if you had this up 3 or 4 inches, the tires look good. I like the tires. I was curious to see how those would look. They're very aggressive for an RT. They said an MT and an AT are coming in the future, but I don't know. I think it looks pretty good. So before we rip off the rear tire here, there are some things to consider when you're looking at a Gladiator wheel and tire setup. Now, on the Gladiator, the towing capacity is higher. Right away, that means you want to have a higher load rating on the tire for towing. Most soft tires are load rating C, so like the Extreme Recon, a lot of the 35s, 37 are load range C. Basically, the lower you go in the alphabet, so A is the lowest rating, and then B gets higher, C gets higher, D, E, and you can go up pretty high. The tires that we chose for this are actually load rating E, so they'll be able to hold a good amount of weight when we're not only towing, but holding cargo in the bed. Very important to remember that you will not only have the load of the Jeep on these tires, but also the tongue weight, the trailer weight, and then whatever you're carrying in the back. So super important to remember that. Also on the bed, with the Gladiator, there's a standard rake, and a rake is where the front end of the vehicle sits lower than the back. And that's because when you do load up the back, it'll squat it down a little bit and sit perfectly level. What this means is that if these tires are too big and they're almost touching when there's no load in the bed, as soon as you go to put something in, you're gonna be rubbing everywhere. So something extremely important to consider. What we're doing today is honestly just for our fun, and you shouldn't run a set of 37s on a stock sport like this, because these fenders would be ripped off pretty quickly. So if you're just going for looks, at least put an inch or 2 lift on there, or swap it out for some Rubicon fenders and see what's possible. But very important stuff here though. Just take your time when considering the wheel and tire setup. The other thing we did is we chose a -12 offset to not be too far poked out. We'd love to do a video in the future going over offset and backspacing and all that fun stuff, just to make sure when you add extra tire size outside further than the center of the wheel, when you keep going out wider, the wear and tear on all of your components is so much more significant. It's a lot worse for your axles, it's a lot worse for your steering components, and although it looks cool for some people, the poke can get crazy, and then depending on where you live, you might get pulled over for it too. But let's pull these off, swap the ones onto the back, and see how that 37 looks back here. The reason we have clearance in the back is because of that rake that I just explained. So you see how much more room we have here? If this bed were to be loaded up, or we had cargo in a trailer, this would come down and then probably be the same gap as the front. But that's not a terrible look. I mean, a lot of the Gladiator guys, what they'll do on the front is they'll just put a little bit of a spacer lift to eliminate that rake for daily driving if you're not throwing a ton of stuff in the bed all the time. But that's a decent gap. I think a little bit higher, and that's what we'd be looking for. Let us know in the comments what you think of this. I really like the bronze. Dad was just saying off camera, he likes the bronze. A hard decision with the Juice is you've got a color so bright that really becomes kind of the whole Jeep, but what do you accent it with? I ran into the same problem with my high velocity, Ryan. What do you accent high velocity yellow with? You can't. It's such a bright color. Now I know Brian from Distinction Applied, he just picked one of these up and he said he might be doing like the 4xe tow hook blue. So that might look interesting with this, but I think in reality, this is the color of the vehicle. So we just wanted to tie something in to really accent it, maybe give it a trifecta or even 4 colors that accented throughout the entire Jeep. I'm really happy with the gap back here. This would not still be good for daily driving. I think if we put the other side on, it would really make this come down a little bit like Dad said off camera, but Putting a lift on this, I think this wheel and tire size is going to be perfect. And not only that, the offset. So we have a couple ideas because in PA, they do get a little bit crazy with fender poke and tire poke coming out. I'm thinking maybe we'll try out those Extreme Recon fender flare extensions because I have seen Gladiator guys do it. Of course, we know the fronts will fit. The rears are where it's just a bit interesting because this fender is way different than the Wrangler fender. But overall, I mean, we're excited to get this thing up in the air. I wanted to try these out today just so we could show off what they look like on camera. And I would say the next step is obviously to get this thing bigger. We got to get it up in the air so these tires can stay mounted. And then we put a tonneau cover on, we took it off just to carry these, but I'd like to play around with the idea of a bed mounted tire carrier too. I know the one at AMW is sick, that like pre-runner one, but AEV makes one that mounts to the front there that sticks it up vertically. I think there's some cool ideas we could play around with that. I've even seen some where they mount like along the rail here, and you could put it in there and then take it out whenever you wanted to. So, I mean, we run the tonneau cover, we take it off. I'm curious to play around with that because the Gladiator is tricky. I know Clayton Off-Road makes a track bar in the rear that will allow the 37 to fit underneath too. So we could run a full-size spare up underneath instead of the stock size spare. A lot of things to consider here. What lift height do you guys think would look good with this? We'll leave it up to the audience. I think what we're looking for is like a 2.5 inch to 3 inch lift. I think on the Gladiator, that's what sets it up perfectly. You can go really high with these. I had a Gladiator before with a 3.5 inch lift. Do you remember how big that thing was? It was a monster. And it was on 37s. And you like, I think that was taller than my 392. Yeah. That thing was absolutely massive. So I'm curious on that. Maybe a 2.5 inch lift, pick it up nicely, still use those side steps on there, but the color's cool. I think the color, once you see how we tie it in, is gonna be really nice. But yeah, let us know in the comments. I mean, color and wheel choice is very hard. That's why the wheel companies make thousands of different choices and then multiple different colors. But on this Jeep, I think this turned out really good. So I was curious on this. So really the answer to will 37's fit, I would probably give it a thumbs down. You're not going to be able to turn that front tire. If you go over any bump, it's going to rip that fender right off. On a Rubicon, it would still be close, but you could probably get away with it if you had to. No go on a 2025 Gladiator. They'll fit, but just because it fits doesn't mean it'll drive. So while these are going to be coming off and the stock Sport S wheels being put back on this Jeep, they will be back on the Jeep very soon. We just wanted to take a moment, show them off, try them out, and kind of let you guys see that this Jeep is still alive. It's still here. We're just working on all the behind the scenes plans for it. A lot of other cool stuff going on. Obviously, thank you guys so much, everyone that's picking up the floor lights. We've sold a ton of pink now that they're available. We've even got some really cool install shots of that from some of our customers, which is awesome to see. Thank you guys for all the support. Plus, we've got merch on there too. So new shirts, new hats, a bunch of really cool stuff on the website available. But coming up in the next few weeks, we will be at AMW's open house in Michigan. So if you guys are going to be in the area, come out. We will be there and have some of the Jeeps with us. So we'd really love to meet you there. We've got some bumpers. We've got some other things that we're kind of stewing on and how we want to build this, but a really cool platform to be able to get this thing done and in a color that seemingly has gone away very quickly. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have ideas for the Juice build, drop them down below. We wait to say this stuff at the end because we love reading the ideas that you guys have for this. So if you have a theme, if you have a bumper idea, if you have some other parts you want us to try out on this build, drop it down below in the comments. We love to read that stuff. Until next time though, we're gonna put the stock wheels back on, something I hate to do, but this thing has to be able to drive. Ryan's behind the camera, I'm here talking to you, and we want you to get out there and earn yours.